Welcome to Wine Soundtrack USA. Listen to the passion with which producers narrate their winery and their world in 30 answers. Discover their stories, personalities, and passions.
Hello, friends and listeners of Wine Soundtrack. This is Allison Levine, and today I'm in the lovely San Ynez Valley with David and Anna DeLaski of Solminer Vineyards. Welcome to Wine Soundtrack, David and Anna. So we're going to have two voices today. Tell us about Solminer and where exactly we're located here in the San Ynez Valley.
Yeah, so we're in Los Olivos, California. That's in Santa Barbara County, so San Ynez Valley. We have a 12-acre property here, so it's 5 acres planted to a number of different varietals that we have planted for different reasons. But we are a certified biodynamic organic farm. And
I'm originally from Austria, so the varieties that we're growing include like Grüner Veltliner, Riesling, Muscat, Blaufränkisch. So we want to bring a little bit of Austria to the Central Coast.
I do appreciate how, David, you let Anna say it because she says it so perfectly.
I know, it's perfect. I always let her pronounce Grüner Veltliner because it kind of sounds, it sounds way better.
In addition to these more unique grapes that you are growing here, are you doing anything else that's more typical to this region?
Yeah, we are. Actually, the vineyard over there, the 2 acres, when we bought it in 2012, it was all planted to Syrah, and some of the vines are still Syrah. So we have the old block, and then we have some in the main block too. Yeah, traditionally,
in this region, you'd have, Rhone varietals have been very popular, and so the original some of the original plantings of Syrah are still here.
And we're not dogmatic about the Austrian varieties. We're Cal-Austrian. That's the beautiful thing about California. Like in Europe, there's often a lot of tradition, that comes with being a wine family. Like here in California, you can do. There's no tradition of Austrian varieties, so we can do whatever we want.
And you guys are doing that. So you said you have 12 acres here. How much wine are you producing, and where is it available in the U.S. or beyond? Is it available in Austria?
It's not available in Austria. We can't compete with Austrian prices. And if you add shipping and everything to it. So we have a tasting room in Los Olivos right by the flagpole. So most of it goes through our tasting room, and we have a little bit of distribution within California. And what other states do we have, David?
Well, that's it right now, actually, at this point. But because all the Californians are
drinking your wine.
Yeah, yes. Pretty much. But it's all about, we're all about local, sustainable. So I guess, we only make 2,000 cases, and I think it's good not to ship it all over the place, basically. So.
But you can order online and they'll ship for you. So don't worry if you don't live in California. So I'm curious, you come from a European old world background, and David, you're American. What is each of your first memories relevant to wine?
Well, I grew up very close to the Wachau region. So on the weekends, we would always go on walks and hikes through the vineyards there. And I do, and then they have Heurigen, which is the they just open up, the back porch and put tables out, and you can get a wine. I didn't drink wine at that point, and a piece of bread and an apple juice or grape juice, So that's I remember going to Heurigen, and I remember that there were people stomping grapes and they let us stomp the grapes too. I think that's a very
your first memory.
Yeah.
They're very cool. What about you, David?
Yeah, for me, it's not quite so picturesque and pastoral. I grew up in the city, in the suburbs, on the East Coast, around the D.C. area. But my father and my brother both started collecting wine in the 80s, and they'd be bringing home and building, start to build a cellar. And so I got a chance to sort of cut my teeth on some, Grand Cru Bordeaux's and some, like I remember my brother, I'm at the store with him, and I'm like, you're you're going to buy this 85 Lynch Bosch. It's $40. How are you going to, like, that's ridiculous. So
$40.
$40 Lynch Bosch. And yeah, so just really, I guess I had a chance to explore some really good wines. I mean, we were never pretentious about it. But I was really into, through college, just, reading Robert Parker and getting as much knowledge about fine wine as I could.
So when you think back to all the wonderful wines you've drunk, and I'm sure you have drunk a lot of really wonderful wine, is there one wine that sticks out as one of those aha moments for you? Whether it was about wine in general, making wine, a particular variety, anything, just one of those aha wine moments.
For me, one of the aha moments was visiting Nikolaihof and talking to the owner there, and she was a real inspiration for us to go biodynamic. So and there's something about Austrian Grüner that just that make me not feel homesick. It's just the minerality is just so I can always pick it out. So but Nikolaihof is definitely a big inspiration for me.
What about you, David? Is there a specific wine or an experience?
Yeah, for me, I mean, definitely. I spent a long time before when I came to California, I think experiencing, Pinot Noir from the Santa Rita Hills. I mean, at that time, there were, just really good producers.
Huber.
Yeah. They had this really simple place, and having a Huber Pinot Noir from the Santa Rita Hills was just something that I was definitely aha to the point where, I think it started us.
He moved here.
And then we found some Gruner growing in the Santa Rita Hills, and we had our first Gruner Veltliner from Edna Valley. So we had there was an aha moment where the light bulb went off, and we thought, oh my gosh, this Gruner Veltliner actually, tastes like a little slice of Anna's homeland.
So you're from two totally different cultures and wine drinkers, and you've traveled I'm around the world. I'm wondering, who do you think drinks the best in terms of quality?
That's a tough one, for sure. I mean, because, obviously the Austrians, are they drinking it seems like the Americans who drink Austrian wines, they're more concerned with, quality is a tough word, because when you go to vineyards in Austria and you have a glass of wine for €1, there's an amazing quality there because it's just in your glass, and there's this immediacy. Mm-hmm. So I think for quality, it's more of a feeling of it. Like I said, growing up in having all these really fine wines, I started to understand that quality means a lot more than, this is a $300 bottle of wine. Mm-hmm. So, but obviously the Italians, some of the Barolos, those qualities are amazing. Mm-hmm. So
there's definitely something old worldly. I want to go to Rias Baixas next. I haven't been there yet, but it's the quality for me. It definitely has to do with the natural setting around the vineyards. Mm-hmm. I want the culture. It's
taking in the local, vibe, basically.
So basically anyone that lives near a wine region gets to drink well. That's basically it.
That sums it up well, Allison.
Totally. Where's your local wine region?
Yes, exactly.
Totally.
So if we were to go into your cellar, into your personal cellar, and again, that may be a very large or very small or hidden, what would we find in there? What kind of wines do you have in your cellar?
So we're really into, really different wines, and something that's intriguing. Although you'll find a lot of things that are just really lovely and easy to drink. Lots of Beaujolais these days, and lots of whites, Austrian whites, and Rias Baixas and Albariños and just really, because of where we live, it's just like we always just want something that has just a really nice kind of quenchable, quaffable feeling.
Right.
Yeah.
So is there anything you've opened up recently that drank really well?
Well, the Albariño, Rias Baixas Albariño.
Yeah, we've also there was let's see, what did we just have recently that we opened up? I'm trying to think.
You have to be his memory. You have to tell what you get.
I know, right?
That's a problem. I guess
I guess we drink too much because we can't remember.
So, do you think there's a such thing as a perfect variety?
Yes, Grüner Veltliner.
It's basically in her blood. I have to say that I've growing up and drinking Burgundy and Bordeaux and then meeting Anna and when she took me to show me Austria, it was really amazing to understand. I don't think enough Americans understand white wine to the degree that Austrians do, and it's really amazing. Gruner and Riesling are two of the most amazing wines that show terroir, and your understanding of wine can be so deepened by those amazing white wine varietals.
Mm-hmm. So close to perfection.
That's right.
Yeah, I'm actually joking. Like, yeah. I think, but what I've been thinking about lately is, we talk a lot about diversity, like among people, and I think varieties are just like people. And I read an article in Austria, like how they're worried about climate change and that the climate won't be ready good anymore for growing these indigenous varieties. We grow Grüner Veltliner here in California, and it's they adapt just like people, and like taking a variety to a different terroir. And that's also in biodynamic. Like if you grow it there over several generations, that like it's over several years, it'll adapt. It's they're just as adaptable as some varieties. I'm not saying in general, but
right.
it's.
But is there a perfect variety? No, I'm kidding. We'll go on. So what's your opinion on wine critics and scores? Let's see if you can be as gently vague about that.
Oh, I don't want to be vague about it. I don't really pay much attention to them, and I don't think... I like what critics tend to say about wines for the most part. I've had some critics get everything wrong, like they're in a rush, because when you're trying to put together one little blurb and then a number at the end, it's just that I love wine journalists who take a deep dive and take like an hour to basically understand everything about what the winemaker's intentions are and what their farming practices are, and not just like, this tastes like, coffee and boysenberry, I give it a 95. Basically, it's just that's kind of meaningless to me.
Although you started reading Robert Parker when you were young, so you read that stuff when you were younger.
And we would have such a fun time reading through it and just laughing our asses off. We'd look at this, what's the Penfolds, Grand Hermitage is a massive inky giant, and we would just we thought that was hilarious.
You're really good at writing tasting notes.
Totally, I know. That's where I got my. But to a certain extent, we want tasters to come to our wines and draw their own conclusions. And you may be enjoying this wine not because it's. Please don't enjoy the wine because it's a 90 plus. Which they all are, by the way. Doesn't matter.
Yeah. So let me ask you, as wine drinkers, okay, separate answers: red, white, or rosé?
White.
Really? Tonight, rosé? No, orange.
Orange.
Know,
right?
Nice, David.
Still or sparkling?
Still.
Really? I have to choose? It's not fair.
Do you have to pick the other one?
No, I'll choose still, but yeah.
No, but
sure.
I want no, yeah.
No, I know you drink everything. I mean, it's a
fair
what
question.
part of the meal are we
Exactly.
talking?
Right.
Before the meal is sparkling.
It's like yes,
Appetizer white and then a red.
right.
With the
Yes,
pink
please.
okay. That's the answer.
Yes, please.
So obviously you drink a broad array of wines, and you're drinking a lot of really interesting varieties, from Gruner Veltliner and Riesling to Blaufränkisch, both domestic and international. So when you're drinking all these cool wines, opening them up, how do you approach food and wine pairing? Do you think there are rules to follow? White wine and fish, red wine and meat? Do you look for something else? What is sort of your philosophy when you're opening up wine with your food?
I look at the actual region and what are people eating with their with the wine that comes from that region, essentially.
Uh-huh.
So
I like that you're saying what they're eating with their wine.
but if you're in Austria, like there's great pairings with sausages or schnitzel, or there's if you're in Argentina, or you're looking at, it's just like it seems like all the things, all the information is there if you just look at where the wine comes from.
So being here in California, where, our cuisine is different, we can access anything, but we're not eating a lot of schnitzel and sausages. Well, maybe you are in your household, but generally that's not the norm of everyday cuisine here. So when you're opening up, do you look at it more like we're opening up a Gruner, what's going to go with it, or we're making this tonight, what will go with it? Do you pair with your food or do you pair with your wine? I think David already answered that and how he talked, but...
I think the food comes for me. The food comes first, and then we'll decide what. There's many. We're not dogmatic about like, oh, this is this is meat. You have to have red. Like we like to be. We like to think outside the box sometimes too.
I think as I'm cooking, I like to, my mouth is watering for food, and then what is my mouth watering for as far as what wine, it's a very sensual thing. It's not, I don't use my head in pairing, I'm thinking like, it's just like, oh, this is going to be a New York strip. I'm not going to have a Gruner Veltliner with this, basically.
Right.
So that's, it's just, there's some common sense, but it's just what feels right.
So for somebody who hasn't had the pleasure to taste Solminer wines yet, what do you think they're missing out on?
Well, so, we started in the vineyard. We started with like sustainability, and we took that into the winery too. So all our wines are natural wines, and they're super creative. David was in the music industry before. I attribute a lot to that. So I think it's fun twists on, like, we make a skin fermented Gruner Veltliner, for example. So it's that's something that I would love to share with lots of people. A rosé pet nat, that's a little cloudy, that's...
Yeah, and we have we grow Blaufränkisch here in California, and I think it's unlike any other Blaufränkisch you would find in Austria, and certainly for most people, they haven't even had a Blaufränkisch from anywhere. Mm-hmm. So they... a lot of people come to us, and it's great because I love to be in the tasting room as much as I can, and people are like, well, we've been around and we've been tasting everything from this area, and this is all so different. So if you really want to experience something different from this region, and something that really has a certain amount of care, and we really do everything as naturally as we can. Organic, biodynamic, all native yeast. These are things that are becoming, they've been important to us. And when we talk to people, they're like, wow, this is really feels like we're drinking something different.
So Solminer offers something different and unique. So I'm curious, if space aliens were to land on your property right now, which of your wines would you want to present to them?
Space aliens. Nebulite, our red, we make a Syrah Grenache, sparkling method champenoise. It has a picture of the crab nebula on the label, I think I would offer that to the aliens.
What do you think, David?
Yeah, that's a great answer. I think we...
Is there another wine you might want to open?
Yeah, can I have aliens over for dinner? What would I pair with the wine, too? That's such a...
But would you do the same wine?
Yeah, I that's a great answer. I think I would definitely do that, or maybe some Pet Nat Rosé, for sure.
See? You have the opportunity to talk about two different wines here.
It's sparkling, I guess. I mean, it's like, we need aliens in here.
Well, it's a special occasion.
True.
You got to pop some bubbles, savor some wine.
So we're here in the middle of another vintage. It's another harvest. Hopefully, you've had a good harvest so far, and things are going well. I'm curious. We know that every vintage tells a different story. But do you feel here that every vintage there's more variation or more consistency? What have you noticed, and what are sort of your assessments of how vintage plays a role here in this region or in your biodynamic vineyard?
Yeah, it's a little bit of both. We're constantly evolving, and so we're very young. So I think our consistency, well, for one thing, our consistency is not really our goal because we celebrate any variation in vintage. But I think because we're so new and young and we have new vines, it's just a sense of discovery right now. So I'd say things we tend to taste the same flavors, say in the Syrah that we've had eight vintages under our belt, but I mean, you're talking to some pretty young winemakers here as far as how long we've been making wine
to see how variation sort of plays into part.
Yeah. So when you've got multiple generations, I mean, obviously you've got all kinds of time to work out what your thing is.
Yeah.
And again, in Austria, for example, like you have a lot of variation depending on the weather.
Right.
It's like, this is a 10% Gruner because it started raining in September. September, October are like some of the hottest times of the year here. So we don't have to fight that battle. Like so there's less, as far as the weather is concerned, there's less variation. It's interesting. I find we have a lot of pepper trees over on the in the original vineyard. So it's more about like what's the expression of the terroir here, and the terroir meaning like what grows here, around the vineyard.
And so, I mean, being in California, there's a level of consistency from one year to the next. I mean, we don't have extreme weathers and stuff like that. Are there any signs or predictors that you look for that will help you determine what a vintage is going to bring you?
We've got a lot of indication, I think, in like you say, I definitely agree that there's a certain amount of consistency. So, what the future holds is, relatively like the same from year to year. So, we're just looking for, a solid, set of frost-free, spring and a
long growing season.
Yeah. But really, the amount of rain we've had during the winter is essentially a huge issue, and that would really dictate kind of a lot, basically,
in how you're going in.
Yeah.
So, have you established any good luck rituals that you do at the beginning of harvest? Any family or business rituals?
No, I haven't yet.
I mean, everything we do is a ritual, essentially. I mean, we're biodynamic.
True.
Like, so, we've got our cow horns that we bury every, like on the winter solstice, and we unbury them on the summer solstice. And there's I wouldn't call it luck, because sometimes people go, well, that's just a ritual. And it's like, well, no, it's actually part of the farming practice. But I'd say we're just pretty lucky just to be here and do what we do, for sure.
So, since you're biodynamic, I'm curious, I ask this of all winemakers, even when they're not biodynamic, but when you walk through your vineyards, do you talk to your vines? And if so, what do you say to them? Or do you talk to the wine when it's in the barrel?
Oh,
you can admit it.
I wouldn't. I talk to the vines. I would talk to all the plants around. I would talk to the cover crop. I would talk to
Anna talks to everything.
In my mind.
It's just not even a strange thought at all, for sure. No, absolutely. Because we're biodynamic, we have to be in relation. And so, talking is absolutely important. Actually, I think we do less talking and more listening.
I encourage the yeast bubbles when it's like the fermenter, like when the yeast, when the bubbles come up, I encourage them.
Come on, guys.
You can do it. Doing a great job.
It works.
Yes.
Yeah, our vines every year, our wine, each vintage, it's like having children. People are like, well, what's your favorite wine? I'm like, well, if I have 10 children, I'm not going to just say, yeah, that's my favorite over there. But it's like you're definitely.
But secretly, he walks to the vineyard and he says, "You're doing the best this year. I know you are.
You're the best."
do you have a favorite block? Yeah.
That's right.
What's your favorite block?
So when you guys were children, what did you want to be when you grew up? Anna?
I think I wanted to be a horseback riding teacher, a vet at some point. Yeah, teacher or vet, I think.
And what was your career before jumping into owning a vineyard and being a farmer?
I studied wood engineering, so I worked in the wood industry, but my focus was always sustainability. So it was always my desire to change systems from within. So we in the wood industry, I would work with environmental certifications, and now with Solminer, we try and make it as sustainable as we can too.
Ooh, you're applying everything into this world. And what about you, David? What did you want to be when you were a little kid?
Well, I always got labeled as the wise guy in class because I would just say, well, I just want to be happy. And so...
Are you happy?
Yeah, that's the thing. I just follow that path of joy, see where it takes you,
And you were in the music industry before?
Yes, I was a music producer.
Huh. So do you have a favorite singer or group?
Yeah, again, sort of like, isn't it a little bit of a like? It's just like which genre, no, I was or still am very partial to electronic music, and so that's kind of growing up in the 80s and 90s. I was always interested in certain things that lent itself towards experimental electronic music, and then dance music in the 90s and ambient music. So,
and what about you, Anna? Do you have a favorite singer or group, or maybe jumping over to like a favorite movie or favorite?
The electronic music is definitely I knew his music before we met, so I really enjoy it.
This is my only groupie. How do you like my music? Let's get married. That's it.
Better than her saying I've never heard it.
I know, right?
Yeah. So, when you guys are planning a really romantic evening, what sort of wines would be open to? What makes for a romantic evening for the two of you?
Definitely bubbles.
Yeah,
I'd say
Gruner Veltliner, which is her favorite. I mean, I'll score with Gruner at the time.
So bubbles and then Gruner. Yeah. Perfect. All right. You don't need any more wine.
Sparkling Gruner.
And the babysitter.
Yeah, and the babysitter, for sure. That helps.
So when you look back and you think about, we're all given advice over our lifetime. It can be through action or through words. Is there a piece of advice that you were given by somebody that you try to live your life by or work by? And if so, what is it and who gave it to you?
Yeah, so really, I mean, I think growing up, I think my father was very instrumental, and he's like, well, you just got to let life happen, and do what you love and be sincere about what you do. And I think in this business, people really respond to the fact that you're doing something sincere,
Mm-hmm. Do you think of anything, Anna?
I can't think of anything that someone told me, but I know that like my son, he's 7, and they had career day, and last year in school. So I came in and talked about winemaking, and the biodynamic aspect from it too. But my advice was, you're never too old to learn something new for the kids, because I think I think that's actually, and it's a good advice for myself too. I guess I gave myself some good advice.
Well, and I would normally ask now, is there any advice you give to our listeners? And I think that's a really good point, is that you're never too old to learn. Is there anything else you'd want to share?
Yeah, no, for sure. I think that's a good one. And and like I said, doing what you love and making it matter, basically. Yeah. Doing something, I mean, if you're talking about the wine business, I mean, you better be doing something that really matters to yourself, because it's just it's like you've got to care. You've got to care about it and be passionate about it for someone else to care about it, for sure.
So, looking back at your careers, and not including your families, because I know the children will always be the answer to this question, or should always be the answer. But what would you say is one of your proudest achievements to date? And I'm curious if you have the same achievements.
You're always looking at me. It's funny when you do an interview together. It's just like, are you going to answer first, or am I going to answer first?
Well, it's who's buying time to think about the answer.
Exactly. Okay, so I'm going to go with meeting Anna and coming out here on our first date, basically, and we decided, we locked into an idea very early on. I mean, I wouldn't call it a proud achievement. Again, it's like we got very just transfixed on an idea, on a dream, and I think to have realized this dream, I think it's an achievement, not in the way that I'm patting myself on the back.
No, of course.
But it's an achievement like, wow, we look back and we go, we really had this idea. I mean, we looked over a vineyard with sheep, and we had known each other for about a month, and the rest is, as they say, history. I
think that's an achievement, because, I mean, again, achievement doesn't have to be something about your ego. Achievement is something that makes you proud. And I think the fact that you had a dream that you actually followed through, and we're sitting here on a beautiful property that is yours, I think is pretty amazing.
I think my proudest achievement is that I figured out how to move to California, because I studied abroad, and I think that's also like moving to a different country for a while, really like, or state even, like it's just somewhere else. It really like allows you to spread your wings and figure out who you are, because society is so different that like from your birth, from your family, and from your birth culture, that you really get to know yourself a lot better. And yeah, I mean, I guess if I wouldn't have figured out how to move to California, I wouldn't, like, all of this wouldn't be here either.
We wouldn't be sitting here.
Yeah.
So I want you to complete this sentence for me. Think to yourselves both. You're both going to do it, okay? But don't let the other sway your answer. A table without wine is like...
Now I know why sometimes people have to think about those things. A table without wine is like...
A table without wine is like, forgetting to put your pants on, basically. I mean, it's... No, but no.
Yeah, that's a good answer.
It's like,
Anna?
Forgetting to put your underwear on.
Oh!
Yeah,
I think there was a little similarity there.
But I was thinking about that first.
It just seems wrong. It's just wrong. It's just wrong.
It's just wrong.
It's just wrong.
That's the answer. A table without wine is just wrong.
That's right. That's my final answer.
So now I want you to imagine a situation where we're sitting at a table now. We're enjoying, some wine. It's your wine. Solminer wines are all over the table. And the paparazzi are really excited. They're taking photos because the people joining you at this table drinking Solminer wine are from any walk of life, living or deceased. Who would you wish to be sitting at that table with you?
That's why the paparazzi is so excited.
Yeah.
To see all
No, yeah, they don't care about the wine. It's just there's
but they're drinking the Solminer wine, so it's who you want to be drinking the
amazing
Solminer.
people at the table. The celebrity of it all just doesn't really.
But it doesn't have to be a celebrity per se. It's a celebrity to you.
I guess let me finish the question. Let me finish my answer. I think I'm going to sidestep that question by saying, like, my dream is to have just a really, really engaged, interesting people from all walks of life enjoy our wines. Without being too specific.
Yeah, no.
And Anna, do you have a famous philosopher, musician, sports hero, family member, something a little more specific, or are you going to go with the...
Oh.
You got to give Allison more.
She doesn't have to. I'm just giving her the chance.
Inquiring minds need to know.
It's never easy when you're set up with the most, like, beautifully open-ended answer.
I like your questions, but yeah, philosopher, who would I want to...
What about, like, Frida Kahlo? Or you've got, I don't know.
Or Steiner, because you follow biodynamics.
Well,
or
actually,
he was a teetotaler.
I just learned about Mimi Castile. I would love to, like, she's really, like, she's pushing, like, regenerative vineyards in Oregon, and I just read a beautiful article about her. Her background is also in forestry and wood, so I would love to talk regenerative agriculture with her.
over a bottle of Solminer.
Yes. The paparazzi can take pictures.
So, you're following a biodynamic model, and I know you were saying before that you're young at this. Your vines are only, 8 years old, and they're young. But do you think we'll still be making wine and drinking wine in 500 years beyond?
I should hope so, basically. It's been going on for... Why do you ask, Allison? I'm so surprised at that question. I won't be drinking wine in 500 years. But.
I don't think the wine... I feel like vines are such an expression of culture, and, like, I think it's not going away.
But if it went away and you had to go to a desert island or a deserted island, doesn't have to be a desert, it's your island. Which 3 wines would you take with you?
Well, I'll bring a Grüne Veltliner.
From Austria?
Yeah, let's take an Austrian Grüne Veltliner.
Yeah, and...
you each get 3 wines, by the way.
Oh.
I'll take Sangiovese and an Albarino.
Okay.
All right. Well, that sounds good. I need to take 3 different wines, so...
or the 3 wines you would want to have.
Yeah, no.
If you get to share them on an island, all the better.
Totally. I'm going to take some...
Take Magnums.
Fleury, Beaujolais, Lapierre, Magnum, yeah, totally. And then, I want to take some, some Sardinian wines and some Alsatian wines, some Alsatian Riesling, and
I want a surprise box.
That's right.
all the wine, all the.
I'm on a desert island. I'm not going to be picky, basically, as long as it's not like boxed wine from. I
was letting you pick. I wasn't saying the surprise. This isn't like blindfolded. This is like if you had your dream of what you'd be drinking for the rest of your life.
I think we're living it.
Yeah, throw some good, Bandol in there, some rosés. It's a desert island, so it's got to be something good.
Okay, it's time for our little game. Music and wine.
Music and wine.
So, tell me what song, genre, musician goes with the wine that I mentioned. So I'm going to start with Anna and an Austrian Grüner Veltliner.
I'd say some classical music, maybe some Mozart.
Okay. And what about David, your Grüner Veltliner from San Ynez?
So we have a couple of different Grüner Veltliners. You've definitely got one that's a little bit of a crowd pleaser, So, something snappy, upbeat, like what's the, maybe some Daft Punk, basically. And then the skin fermented would be more like sort of a David Bowie from his, Thin White Duke kind of phase, from like station to station or something. Basically.
Okay.
Is that
works?
Not specific enough, or
fine. So Anna, what about the wine that you would want to give to the space aliens, which is your sparkling Syrah Grenache?
Oh, what music?
Oh, well,
that should be David.
Well, that's David Bowie in his Ziggy Stardust face.
Right.
Basically.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. And what about your pet nat?
Yes. What about
one?
the pet nat?
The
pet nat
the
rosé.
rosé?
That's more like a. That's got to be like more like a pink. I think we'd give that to pink.
All right.
We definitely.
And what about your Blaufränkisch?
Oh yeah.
I think we need to throw some Tosca in there somewhere, because this. Do you know Tosca or Guder und Dorfmeister, like the Austrian electronic music? And
Exactly. Yeah. Or air.
And then your Riesling, you have a skin fermented Riesling, right? Gruner.
sparkling Riesling.
Sparkling Riesling. Your sparkling Riesling.
Yeah, that's. I think that's more like Falco.
We had to end that way.
Which one? Which one? Which Falco?
Which Falco?
Amadeus.
Yes.
All right.
Amadeus.
Going back to Mozart somehow again.
There's only one Falco. Is there another Falco?
Yeah, some other songs.
Oh.
So now everyone's going to have Amadeus in their head for the rest of the day. Congratulations. So my last question, you have survived, but my last question is, Anna, I think you mentioned this at the very beginning, but I'm going to put you on the spot again. And David, you haven't shared this. What wine region is at the top of your bucket list to go explore next?
Yeah, Rias, Baixas. I hope to go to Austria again next year, and then from there, go to Spain.
And David?
Yeah, we're gonna.
I mean, you're going to do that, but what's at the top of your bucket list?
Right? It's just like, yeah. I mean, I think there's a lot of places in Spain for sure, and then in Portugal. Well, yeah, in Armenia too. I think would be great. That's.
Is that your final answer? Your top of bucket list is Armenia?
Yes.
Anna has a whole list of places you're going to be traveling to, by the way.
Exactly. As soon as we get the suit,
You're going to be traveling all over the world because Anna has a bucket list. And for anyone who has a bucket list to get here to Santa Ynez, which isn't really something you have to plan a lot because it's really accessible and easy. It's just 45 minutes north of Santa Barbara. It's beautiful. It's a great drive. How can people visit you? You said you have a tasting room in Los Olivos. How is it open 7 days a week?
It is. Yes. So we're here in Los Olivos. Like I said, it's about 40 minutes. It's less than 2 hours from LA. A quick drive down from San Francisco. 7 days a week. We're right in the center of town.
Easy to find.
Easy to find.
And make an appointment or stop on in. But and your website is
solminer.com. SOLMINER.com.
So go to the website, check out more about the tasting room, about the wines. You can order, you can come. David, Anna, thank you so much for joining us today on Wine Soundtrack.
Well, thank you, Allison. It was a pleasure.
It's fun.
Thanks for listening to a new episode of Wine Soundtrack USA. For details and updates, visit our website, winesoundtrack.com.